Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars specifically. This is our Star Wars State of the Union address, and we're just going to talk about what it's been like since Disney bought Star Wars. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves. I'm Andrew, by the way.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Bubba, and you should have called it the State of the Galaxy address.
You're right. I should have. That would have been much better. Scrap it. Start over. So yeah, we're just gonna give you guys a rundown of our thoughts, our opinions on what has happened since Disney bought Star Wars, the future of it, and the mainstream audience / fan base, big Star Wars fans' reactions to what's come out so far. So, Alex, if you want to take it away, you've got the list.
Well, I figured first we'd talk about what we thought of everything before Disney, just kind of give a basis for like what our opinions are. So let's start with the original trilogy. What did you guys think of the original trilogy?
What everybody else thinks of it.
It's great.
It's good
classic.
Stuff.
I mean, yeah, you can't really. There's nothing you can say that sounds new unless you're going to try to be controversial and say the original trilogy sucks.
There's nothing to analyze.
You're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is not as good as the other two. Empire Strikes Back is the better one. It goes Empire, New Hope, Return of the Jedi. Yeah. Some people like
basically
some better,
opinion.
but I mean, objectively,
yes,
it's Empire, New Hope, Return of the
Yep.
Jedi, and then you get into the prequels.
Yep.
If you guys want to talk about your pains in the prequels,
not really.
They're mostly bad.
Phantom Menace is fine. Clone Wars is not.
Attack of the Clones, not Clone Wars.
Same, whatever.
Calls myself a Star
Clone
Wars
Wars
fan.
is way better than Attack of the Clones. And okay, so for you guys,
Revenge of the Sith is good.
For you guys, Revenge of the Sith is the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I'm opposite. Or not opposite. Attack of the Clones is dog shit. One of the worst blockbusters made since 2000. Then for me, it's Revenge of the Sith, and then it's Phantom Menace. Just because I know Revenge of the Sith is a better story. To me, Phantom Menace looks more Star Wars. It's got that aesthetic. So if I'm going to watch a shitty movie in this trilogy, I'm going to watch one that at least, if I squint and plug my ears, it looks like a Star Wars movie from the original trilogy. And I know most people would disagree with me.
I think that the prequel trilogy gets a little too much flack.
Oh, I
sometimes.
agree. I don't hate it as much as I joke.
It's fine. We talked earlier about how there's movie standards and then there's Star Wars standards. I guess to Star Wars standards, the prequel trilogy isn't good. I think to movies, I think it's fine. Well, I'm excluding. I'm talking as a whole, the entire story arc.
Yeah.
The three movies as one entity. I think to movie standards, it's good.
There are worse movies, but because Star Wars is such a big thing to people, which we'll get into when we start talking about Star Wars fans' reactions to the new Disney stuff. We'll touch on that more.
So this is all pre-Disney, so then TV shows, then?
Both Clone Wars shows.
Yeah, the hand-drawn and the 3D animated Dave Filoni one. There's more love for the Dave Filoni one. It's longer. You got some new characters in there that are fan favorites now, like Ahsoka and Asajj Ventress and Captain Rex.
Yeah.
Which I like. It started off kind of rocky with that movie, but by the time it ended, and now it's coming back, which we'll talk about. It was great. The hand-drawn one
was better, in my opinion.
It's more concise and shorter.
Yeah,
it's a better cartoon. The animation's strong. It's the guy that did Samurai Jack, so of course you're gonna like the animation. But, and then there's the EU stuff, the expanded universe,
which none of us really had any clue about. We knew it existed, but we didn't really get into it all that much.
But we didn't care. It's the Legends now, the Legends banner stuff that like your Thrawn trilogy, and that was really the big one. And then there was the
video
Knights of the Old
games.
Republic, but for the most part, it was directionless. No one was really in charge of that pre-Disney.
Exactly.
I mean, people worked together to like make it have continuity and stuff, but it
was mostly just big.
I think the biggest thing was directionless.
Yeah.
It was all just cool stuff that they put Star Wars on.
Anyone could do it.
Yep.
And
somebody could sit down and say, I want to make some money off a novel.
Right.
And then just pick something to write about in the Star Wars universe, and, you know.
I'm sure most of them are people that liked Star Wars. I don't know why else
Well,
they'd
yeah.
write a Star Wars.
But that kind of ends it for pre-Disney. It was kind of a dead brand. I mean, Star Wars has always been popular.
Yeah.
But
dead as in there's nothing new coming out on the horizon.
I mean,
it's kind of just
action figures, and there were the occasional video game.
Yeah.
But there wasn't. If it would have gone on, we wouldn't have seen Star Wars last much longer, I don't think. But then 2012 comes along.
12 or 13.
I think it was 2012.
Okay.
It might have been 13, but that's when Disney bought
It was
Star
12.
Wars. That was when the announcement of Disney buying Star Wars. And I remember there's a big hiccup. Everyone kind of simultaneously shit themselves. I know you said What was your thought?
I heard it and I thought they were gonna make Zac Efron Luke Skywalker. That's just the initial thought I had as a kid who watched Disney Channel and heard Disney and Star Wars in the same sentence.
Right.
It didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I never had that freak out. I mean, Marvel had their first. They had just bought Marvel. Pirates of the Caribbean was really successful at the time. Maybe it was a little after Pirates of the Caribbean, but Pirates of the Caribbean was great. By the way, no one ever talks about that. The first three.
We're talking about Star Wars right now.
That's true. Crossover. But yeah, so I think that gasp that everyone had still kind of resonates with some people. Like, some people are still just kind of irritated by it because they think Disney's this childish brand because
They've held on to that initial.
right. I mean, just because they created Mickey Mouse does not mean that they're for children. I mean, Disney made Pulp Fiction. I don't think anyone remembers that. Miramax was owned by Disney. Did you have any thoughts, Bubba, when it first got announced?
I mean, it was just like the memes were outrageous because people were like, you know, putting, like you said, Mickey Mouse in Star Wars and things. But I mean, once the ball got rolling a little bit and the news wore off and you heard, oh, we're getting an episode 7.
Then everyone started freaking out the other way
and saying, oh my God, this is gonna be. We're finally getting new Star Wars, and I don't remember as much the immediate reaction as once they announced The Force Awakens. Everybody just collectively getting super excited.
Yep.
They're still to this day, though, and it's kind of the opposite with Marvel. You see a lot of Star Wars fans that completely shit on Disney and their Star Wars and that whole franchise now. Whereas Marvel fans, Disney gets something new, Disney buys something, and they're like, there's a collective celebration. So I'm not sure. We'll talk about that more.
We'll talk about it more.
So let's get into our thoughts on the new Disney stuff.
We'll start with the movies. The Force Awakens was the first one, obviously. And what did you guys think about that?
It was good for Star Wars. Great movie. It was good for Star Wars. I mean, obviously the redundancy of kind of the same overarching plot as A New Hope is always going to be a complaint, but it was a good movie and it's a fun rewatch too.
It is. Not to mention, it was a straight out of the ass success.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty like we can say Titanic and Avatar, but this is the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah.
Especially domestically.
In recent years.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, whether you were a Star Wars fan and loved it or hated it, the mainstream clearly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Biggest movie of all time. You can't really have a shitty movie, despite people hating on Avatar. You can't have a bad movie that makes it that far.
Yeah.
You can dislike a movie, but there's no arguing the success of it.
Right.
I think, as you said, Bubba, the way it kind of rehashed that plot of A New Hope, it kind of is, now that we've had some time with more movies, you kind of wish there was something new there. But when I saw it, I completely understood, because you really have to introduce a new generation to that original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, so many people only grew up on Clone Wars and the prequels.
Yeah.
It was really Disney setting the groundwork. It was like getting their footing back after the prequels.
Right.
This is
It
what
was
we're
like their
going for.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
When Marvel started with Iron Man.
Yep.
Exactly. You don't start with Thanos and
Right.
you know, you have to set a foundation so people believe it when you
gotta
go for
set the
the
Which is
when you
set
go
the
for the
basics.
finale,
Yeah.
which we haven't even got to see.
You have to be familiar. You have to make it familiar, but also new for some people.
Yeah,
And I
Batman
think
versus Superman: Dawn of Justice can't be your second movie.
Right. And I think for the most part, even though there's that complaint about it being a rehash, you can't deny that it's a good movie.
Yeah.
You can deny it. You have the right to, but the success of it and the quality of it, and
But
it's already
if
in
you're
pop culture.
if you're
staples.
denying that The Force Awakens is a good movie, you're probably just gonna shit on every Star Wars movie that comes out because it's not exactly what you had when you were a kid.
Right.
If you're that type of person.
And we'll get definitely more to that once we get to The Last Jedi. So, that was next, Alex.
Next is obviously Rogue One. That came out a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I'll start with my opinion. I liked Rogue One better than The Force Awakens. Maybe it's because I was more warmed up to the idea. I saw The Force Awakens, and I liked that. I thought it was great. But then Rogue One came along, and it was exactly like what my dream new Star Wars movie was. I wanted to see more original trilogy spaceship battles, and I got that, and it was amazing.
Can you guys fight? Because I know you
Oh,
differ.
we've had this argument many times.
But never on camera.
I like Rogue One. I will watch it again eventually. I've watched it like 3 times now total. Twice in theaters, once I think since I got it on.
I don't even think you've watched it 3 times. You haven't seen it at home.
I watched it once. I did. It's clearly it's a movie for the fans. It's kind of spectacle over substance, which it is a Star Wars movie. And
Yeah. If you can accept that, you'll like it.
Right. It's definitely, I think, we'll talk about fan reaction later on. I keep wanting to get to that stuff.
So what you thought?
It's fine. I think there are some good characters in it. You get Chirrut and Baze, which I really enjoy. K2SO is awesome. Cassian's cool. Then you get characters that I just don't give a shit about. Bodhi and Jitter, so I think is one of the worst protagonists in a movie in years. I know you and I have different opinions on that, and that's fine.
I don't think she's the best, but I
No,
think
I
she's
just think she's
completely
very
fine, and
shallow
she did what
and-
she needed to do.
I enjoy the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, yeah, I think there's a collective orgasm when you watch the last 10 minutes. The last half hour, the whole
The
battle.
last half hour is great,
The
but
battles are amazing.
when
The
Vader
sets are
starts,
amazing.
when you
Yeah.
see, because even when you think about it, in the original trilogy, we never really get to see Vader at like his full power
Mhm.
because
Especially the New Hope.
back then it just wasn't possible.
Mhm.
Oh, that was so good.
Something about Rogue One, maybe, and this is why I liked it better than a lot of other people, is because I'm a freaking nerd.
We agreed.
I love stuff like when they start when they're on like Jeddah and it's like the Jerusalem Mecca of Star Wars and they're talking about like the Guardians of the Wills.
Mhm.
I love stuff like that when it's talking and like new AT-ATs and Hammerhead Corvettes crashing into Star Destroyers. I love that.
Alex is a nerd. Cuts to picture of Alex's Star Wars comic collection.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that. It was a Star Wars book in movie form.
I
And
don't collect anything like that. We'll put pictures as posts.
He's lying. So The Last Jedi.
Yes, let me move on to Last Jedi. This is the fun one. Bubba, we'll just start with you since Alex.
So
we're not talking about other people.
Yeah, we're talking about what we
think.
think
Yeah,
of the movie.
yeah.
It's a great movie. It's probably the best Star Wars movie that has been released in the 40, 50 years that Star Wars has been a thing.
41 and a half.
And I could not have been happier about it.
Alex, what do you think about the last?
I think it was amazing in every way.
I-
Very few issues with it, and the issues that I have are so small, and they're so overpowered by everything that was so awesome and perfect in this movie.
It is my favorite. I think it is the best Star Wars movie. I know people are gonna shit their pants that we think that, and we're not doing this to try to like be contrarian to everyone else's opinion. I genuinely think I saw it in theaters 5 times. I've never seen any movie
I
like
did
it
not.
before. It blew me away, and I loved Force Awakens when it came out. I really liked Rogue One when it came out, but this movie was just special, and we'll get to the fan reaction later on, but it's my favorite Star Wars.
There's not anything more to cover than that.
No,
really.
I mean, what else can you say? You can get down to the
There's-
nitty-gritty. There are things I don't like.
This isn't a Last Jedi review, and if we were
No.
going to get into it, it would take a lot longer.
I do want to say
have the
one.
Last Jedi review if you want to watch it on here. It's long.
It's good.
I do want to say one thing about The Last Jedi that made it different for me than The Force Awakens and Rogue One.
Mhm.
Is that this one, when I was watching it, I wasn't thinking. It just didn't feel like I'm watching the newest Disney revival of Star Wars. It was the 5th installment of the original trilogy.
Right. Rogue One
And
or
that
Force
was-
Awakens is
it
is
felt like
the
that.
reboot movie.
Yeah.
Rogue One is here's for the fans so that we get everyone on board. Last Jedi is
This is a
the
good Star
new
Wars movie.
episode.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. I got that for the first time since. I mean, there was only one before that, but when it had the crawl, it felt like I was watching a Star Wars movie.
It progressed the story more
Yeah.
so than
Yeah.
any movie since Empire Strikes Back.
Yes,
Return
Yeah.
of the Jedi was kind of just
the end.
yeah.
It was
just
the bottle
kind of
cap.
wrapping.
Yeah.
It was like kind of the previous 2 movies over again, but
Mhm.
the end. The prequel trilogy was just telling you what happened before.
It was George Lucas's.
Yeah, and it was
head
let's
canon.
try to make new stuff that no one really attached to, like midichlorians, and I mean the Jedi Academy. The Clone Wars became.
There's
the big
iconic
staple of
stuff,
Star
but
Wars.
it's not like.
Yeah.
But it was kind of just here's what happened before. This moves the story along.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't think it could have been any better. And
I agree.
I praise Ryan Johnson for what he did with that movie
Yeah.
and all the shit he's taken, which we'll talk about in a second.
Solo?
And then Solo.
Bubba, what do you
I
think?
did not see it.
Shame.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't find it. Came out while I was on vacation,
Mhm.
and when it's summer and I work,
Mhm.
I work all the time. It's hard to catch up on movies, so I have yet to see it. But I plan on watching it in a couple weeks before school starts.
I'll ask you more questions about that. Once I'll use you as a point maker when we get to the fan reaction. Alex, Solo, what are your thoughts?
It was surprisingly amazing. It was very, very, very good. Full of stuff that I enjoy, like little references. And it was a great movie about a heist.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I think it's probably on par for me with Force Awakens. I obviously liked it better than Rogue One. It was really enjoyable. I was
Yeah.
surprised because it wasn't a movie I wanted. It wasn't a movie I cared.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see it because it's a Star Wars movie. But it was not a movie I was hoping they'd make when I heard Disney bought it.
Yeah.
So what else is there besides movies? Let's just try to brush through the others.
Well, there was a TV show, Star Wars Rebels, that I watched the whole thing.
It kind of had a rocky start, but towards the end it was
Amazing.
about as beloved.
I thought I
as
really liked
Clone
it
Wars.
a lot. So,
New characters, that's what you attach to in cartoons.
Yeah.
You get attached to the new characters.
it was good.
Yep. Didn't finish this season finale, or series finale.
I'll go over this stuff real quick. You guys
That's fine. Go
don't
ahead.
give a crap. There have been a ton of new books, and they've all been good or great or amazing, except for one that I really hated, and that was the Ahsoka book. It was just bad. Everything else, and I've read most of them. There's like 2 or 3 actual novels that I've missed. All of them have been very, very good. And then the comics are kind of more of a mixed bag. Some of them are great. Some of them are kind of trash. But, I mean, they're pumping them out. With books and the comics, I wish there was more original, just like independent stuff, independent stories. And then there's video games, which is more mainstream.
Yeah, everyone knows the drama behind
Battlefront.
1 and 2. I think they're enjoyable games to play,
Mhm.
but they don't.
Do you think that Battlefront 2 is like one of the most anticipated games that nobody gave a shit about like 2 weeks after it came out?
I think it was a
It's
game
becau-
that was destined to be hated no matter what. After people despised the first one, which I think was needless. I
Why
mean,
did people despise
It was
the first one?
the
I
first one
enjoyed
was
it.
fine.
It didn't live up to their expectations of the second one, just like almost everything that people care about Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
Um,
It wasn't exactly their vision, so they hated it.
There were things I definitely didn't like. It was very arcadey. They made it so anyone could really pick it up and play it, which I don't think that's the biggest.
That's
crime.
why I liked it,
Right.
because I'm not. You guys know me. I'm not a big, other than like soccer and hockey. I'm not a big video game person, and so I was able to pick up a controller and play with you guys, and I sucked, but like it wasn't like a stark, like I didn't like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
And then everybody knows the controversy behind the loot crate system,
Yeah.
the pay to win shit for the second one. We don't really need to get on that.
Yeah.
It
It's no longer a
the
problem.
gameplay was enjoyable.
Yep.
But it's not a game I care about anymore.
Right.
A year later, I haven't played it. in
not
months.
even a full year either. I don't
I
think.
haven't played it in months, and I don't really intend to.
Right. And of course, they've put out a buttload of merchandise and toys and shirts
Yeah, you
and
can't really
lunch
go
boxes
anywhere
and
anymore without
yeah.
seeing the Star Wars
Yeah.
brand. Which, what did
It's
you
fine.
expect? I mean, you see the same thing with Marvel. Any brand that has recognition is going to sell. I mean, there's
Yep.
Harry Potter stuff in stores still to capitalize on
Yep.
Fantastic Beasts too. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. So overall, what are your guys' opinions on the entire Disney?
I
Going
So far.
It's about either where I thought it was going to be or a little above expectations.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, actually, I think The Last Jedi pushes it above my expectations. Everything else has been about on par with what I wanted.
Yeah, I my biggest concern when I heard Disney was going to buy it wasn't the whole it's going to be Disney-ish. It was going to be that they're going to ignore it was going to be something new, kind of like the prequel trilogy is different than the original trilogy. I was worried it was going to be something new. You're not going to have Luke, Han, Leia, or that aesthetic. And it definitely did that, and it progressed the story along. It gave our characters that we knew something different. It gave them expectations that weren't matched because we didn't know what to expect, which isn't a bad thing to say. The new characters are already staples of pop culture.
Yep.
You're going to see a Poe Dameron at any convention.
And you know, it's kind of funny. After the original trilogy, we kind of think we have closure with our characters.
But we really don't.
We don't, but I feel like we there are obviously loose ends to tie
Yeah.
up in episode 9,
Mhm.
but I feel like I have closure with Han, and I have closure with Luke's story, and
Mhm.
I feel like The Last Jedi especially did a good job giving us closure with those old characters, while
It-
also solidifying our new ones.
It made an end to what Star Wars was before, and it created a new way. And it's creating a new Star Wars.
Yep.
It's a new story. It's kind of like the series finale, and then it's like this is the series finale of Cheers, and then they're gonna start Frasier with episode
Yeah.
9. So overall, I enjoy it, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Yep. My opinion is summed up by the fact that they made 4 movies, and I've loved all 4 of them so far. So
So next up, we're gonna get into fan reaction.
what most people, or what a lot of people think.